guys and girls? It's Utah Johnny. Thanks for coming back to the channel. So today we're going to be going over some more things that I've been doing on the 79 Trans Am. We are very close, though, to being done. I used to have this list of all the things I needed to do, and guess what? There's only like one little thing left. So this is good. So one thing that I wanted to do is replace or remove these inner fender liners. They're such a big portion of the real estate of this engine bay, and they look so much better when they're nice and clean and painted. So I removed this one, sanded it down, and painted it, kind of cleaned up some of the wiring and so forth in the engine bay. Also, on this passenger side, you can see it's gone because I had noticed the heater was never hooked up on this vehicle when I bought it. Now, it was a Vegas car, and I thought maybe it's just always hot in Vegas and they don't need a heater. It's a little cooler in Utah, and especially with the T-tops, I kind of feel like I needed a heater. After I removed this fender liner, that gave me access to the two inlet and outlets of the heater core. Also, in there is the heater blower motor, which is kind of tucked up into here. And the only way to access that is by removing that fender liner. So here's the fender liner. I sanded it all down and started to repaint it, and then I ran out of paint. So this is the stuff that I'm using. It's made by Eastwood. It's called Underhood Black, and it's got this perfect low gloss finish. Now, unfortunately, this stuff you can't buy at a local store. You have to order it online. It has to be shipped from Pennsylvania. Eastwood, if you're listening, boy, it would be nice if you could sell some of your products in some of the local stores. Nevertheless, I ordered it, and after a certain shipping company lost it, it came like a week and a half later. It's okay. It's funny, because it's the last thing that I needed to be done with this. But let me explain to you what I did before. When I got this car, it originally was an air conditioning car. There was no air conditioning compressor. Also, the heater core was not hooked up. It was just capped off. It's Utah, and we have bipolar weather. Some days it's hot, some days it's cold. And with T-tops, hey, I'm an old guy, I like to have a little bit of heat. So I decided to hook that up. Now, before I just hooked up heater hoses to the heater core, I suspected that maybe that heater core was not in full operational state. So I hooked up a pressure tester to the core and did, a leak down test. And sure enough, there was some air coming out of it. And so we ordered up a heater core, and I began that job. Oh, that was horrible. That was horrible. That was literally like 9 hours of my day. And I was so frustrated and upset that I didn't even pick up this camera to record some of it. You probably would have a different impression of me with the swear words and everything, because it was super frustrating. In order to get that heater box out, you have to remove all of the glove box, the inner glove box, the plumbing underneath, the venting tube, the kick panel, the passenger seat, and this center console, and the lower portion of the heater box. And then when you get the heater box out, you have to replace the actual heater core. So the difficulty was, this is an air-conditioned car, which means the heater core has one shorter outlet and one super long inlet. Well, the super long inlet is a tube that kind of comes up at a weird angle, and in order for you to fit that back in through the firewall, it's like the most frustrating thing ever. And I battled with it for hours, because that has to come up through that upper hose, or this assembly here where the air conditioning condenser is. And to do that from inside of the car as you're at like this weird angle underneath the car, it was just frustrating. That's all I can say. Nevertheless, took a deep breath, walked away from it a few times, had a protein shake, and I got it in. So anybody ever wanting to do a heater core on these cars, good luck to you. So since I was in that wheel well area and I got the heater core in and I flushed the radiator system and put new coolant in and make sure there was no bubbles in it, the other thing I obviously needed to do was make sure that the heater blower motor was working. I put some power to it, and yes, it powered up. It didn't sound good though. It was like, yeah, all kinds of weird noises. I don't know if there was a mouse in there or something. This is the old blower motor, and it's original. It just was making horrible noises. And so for 40 bucks, I went and bought another one. And not that I'm really going for an OEM, you know, full restoration, but this was like an aftermarket overflow container for the radiator. I bought kind of the original one. So I just got to put that on once we get that fender in there. And then I think that job is done. The car's been in Nevada its whole life. It was built, the engine was rebuilt by a speed shop in Las Vegas. Now, Las Vegas is 2,000 feet lower altitude than Utah. And carburetors are funny, they're super finicky, elevation affects them. Thankfully, in the pile of paperwork that I got with this car, the speed shop listed the carburetor jets that they used. And so I was able to basically find the carburetor jets that were the appropriate size for our elevation, which is 2,000 feet higher, and I replaced those. It was kind of a quasi carburetor rebuild. Got the kit, took it all apart, cleaned out some components, some diaphragms and so forth that were kind of old and crusty, and then I put those new jets in, and I tell you, that was a big difference because the car runs a lot better. The other thing that I really felt like I needed to do was to refurbish the wheels. These wheels, they're made out of aluminum, and these outside webbing pieces are bare aluminum, which need to be polished. So I took off each of these wheels, and by the way, this is the finished product. Hopefully they look good to you because I spent a lot of time and energy. I took off the wheels, cleaned them, scrubbed them, got off all the old brake dust where I could, and then proceeded to tape them all up. I ordered some special paint from a company that specifically said that this paint was for Trans Am snowflake wheels. That's what these are. And the color was supposed to be the gold. So I taped up the wheels and then shot some spray, and it looked good in the beginning until like it dried a day later, and it turned out to be this really funky kind of gold, and it didn't look good, and it like had some orange or amber in it, and I thought this has got to be a mistake. I was a little angry because number one, I had to buy the whole box, which was like 120 bucks, and then after all that work to have them be the wrong color. So I sent an email to the company and said, hey, what's up with this? There's a problem. Thankfully, good customer service is wonderful, and these guys did the right thing. It helped ease the pain a little bit, but I still had to retape and then sand the wheels and then paint them again. On the second go around, I just went to Home Depot and I found some metallic gold paint, and it was the key. You know, there's a lot of gold in this car, and you know, with the screaming chicken and the pinstriping and so forth, I wanted this kind of lighter gold to match all that, and believe it or not, the Home Depot paint worked perfect. Ironically, when I was dealing with these wheels and tires, I came across something I had not noticed before. Again, the gift that keeps on giving with this car. 3 of the tires are 245 60 15s, and then a fourth is a 255 6015. Who does that? I mean, was this seriously like an error? So the guy I bought the car from said they put new tires on it. I'm curious to know maybe if that company just, you know, it was a mistake. And technically the car originally came with 255s. So I had to order another tire. When I pulled off these wheels, I noticed the car had air shocks in the back with nothing hooked up to them. Who does that? Air shocks with no air lines, it doesn't work. It doesn't work that way. So, had to replace the shocks. It's okay. They needed to be done anyway. Because when I pulled off the fronts, I'll show you a photo of that, they were hammered. There was absolutely no compression left in the shock. The lower bushings were totally shot. It was like metal on metal. So I got these, you know, not anything fancy. I don't know if you can see them, but they're just Monroe premium OEM type shocks. And hey, cool, they're actually black with gold. How ideal is that? So I don't know if you guys know this, but this year is the 45th anniversary of Smokey and the Bandit. And yesterday, and then this coming Wednesday, June 1st and June 2nd, Thursday, they are showing Smokey and the Bandit in the theaters. Now, maybe by the time you see this video, it'll be too late. Obviously, Smokey and the Bandit's still available, and it was a lot of fun. We went and we hit it up last night. Still a great show. We watched Smokey and the Bandit 2 after that. Yeah, you know, I think the first one's the best, but it was a lot of fun. So, nevertheless, we are getting close to being done with this car, and I can just go out and finally drive it and enjoy it if the Utah weather would just like cooperate with us. It's been crazy, rainy, weird. And as I mentioned, the to-do list is down to just a few little touch-ups. And we're going to put this fender liner back in, attach that radiator overflow container, and one little final thing. I don't know if you guys have used this before. Eastwood makes this golden CAD system, which I used it on an old Cadillac before. It's really slick. So like this brake booster here, which I painted a gray, which is not really correct. This little kit gives you the 3 paints to give it that nice gold dichromatic plating appearance. You spray it off first with this gold base coat, and then you just do little random highlights with the red zinc and then the green zinc, and it kind of gives it that nice look, kind of like on the Power Master alternator here. So there's an update. Enjoy, guys. Thanks for coming back. Give it a like. I got more projects coming, yada, yada, yada. You guys know that. So always some fun stuff. I'm looking for a few cars right now that's secret. Got some ideas in this crazy head of mine. I think it'll be kind of fun, so we'll wait and see. Nevertheless, give me a like, give it a subscribe, and we'll see you next time. You guys take care.